Hi, everybody. I wanted to go over the literature review planner and just kind of comment on how you're going to fill that out. So if you go into content and you go into Unit 1, the literature review, and you go into the assignments, you'll see the literature review planner. And there are instructions here about this assignment. There is also a link to the actual worksheet. So I'm going to click on that. So when you fill out this planner, you are going to be mapping out the different sections of your literature review document, which will be a fully typed out essay type format document. So let's look here at the planner, and it doesn't go exactly as your typed essay will go, but it does have the different components that you'll want to include. So the first thing you're going to do is simply type the name of your topic. So please make sure you type that here. If it is the responsibility of schools to combat cyberbullying, whatever your topic is. The next section asks you to write the search terms that you use when you were looking for your articles. So you should have been keeping track of those, and you would list those here. The next area is going to be the introduction of your actual literature review. And these are the kinds of things that you'll be discussing in that introduction. So you're going to want to start off by introducing the topic and a little bit of background information and the importance of this topic. So if you would answer the question, why is this topic important in today's society? That will probably start to give you some ideas about what you would type here. So answer this question in a few sentences. What's the importance of this topic? So why, in this case, is cyberbullying an important topic and ways to combat it? All right, the next item says scope of the literature. How broad or specific is the coverage of the sources you have found so far? So you have found 2 sources, and those are your literature that you're reviewing in this paper. So you're trying to figure out what is the scope of these articles. How broad or narrow is the information that you found? If the article gives a basic overview of the cyberbullying issue and some of the ideas for perhaps fighting it, that would be a broad article. If your article dealt with a specific school and a specific student who is cyberbullied, and maybe the parents sued the school because they should have done something about it. So a specific case like that would be very specific or narrow. The idea here is to get a sense of what you have found on this topic. Is this enough information to really argue a particular point of view on this debatable topic? So you can, again, write a few sentences that would talk about the articles that you have found so far. And then the third thing is going to be ultimately your thesis. At this point, what are you trying to show in pursuing this topic? Why are you researching it? What is your goal, if you will? And again, at this point, you could write a couple of sentences to give an idea of what you're trying to do by looking at this topic. All right, the next section, which will be a section in your paper, is research questions. So in order to thoroughly investigate this debatable topic, you need to ask questions. So in this section, you have 3 questions that you can come up with. And these should be questions that will help lead you toward that goal. So if your topic is, what's the school's responsibility for cyberbullying? What are some questions that will help you find that out? One might be the relationship between schools and social media, or what's happening outside of schools. Maybe you need to ask about what are the legal problems involved with schools trying to intervene with social media that's being done outside of school. Maybe even just looking at what is the extent of this issue might be another question. Many questions you could come up with. So try to think of 3 that you think would be focused for this topic. Write the or type the question, and then put a little bit of a reflection, what you think this question might help you better understand. The next section is the research. So here you're going to take the 2 articles that you found and provide the information that you'll be using in your paper as the references page and for your citations, as well as, of course, letting your instructor know what you found, and then sort of evaluating that source. So for this project, you are finding one source from the internet, and that's source 1. And then you'll be finding a source from Credo. So here, the article you found from the internet, please write down the name of the website. Give me the full URL or web address so that I could click on it and go to that article. Tell me the author or authors of the article. If there aren't any, it's just published by the website, then put none listed. Please put the date of that article. If you can't find one, you would put no date. Look around, see if you can find one. And then please put the article title, which on a web article would be the title at the top of that page. So you're going to fill out all that information, and then you're going to answer these questions. In this article, what does the information there tell you about your topic or the research questions that you posed? A few sentences to describe that. What is the main idea of this article? So that should be a little mini summary of the article. And then question 3 is, how is this source relevant? So again, how does this fit into really investigating this topic? A few sentences to describe that. And then evaluate the source's strengths and weaknesses. Think about the CRAP test: currency, relevancy, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Does your source meet the CRAP test? Is it limited in some way or another? And you would discuss that here. All right, and then you would go down to source 2, which is from the database. And we're going to try to use Credo for this assignment if we can. So if you do use Credo, that would be the name of the database. If you can't, you'll consult with me and I'll show you some of the other library databases that you could use. You'll put, of course, the author or authors of the article, the date of the article, the title of the article, and the magazine, newspaper, or journal where it appeared. And then I want you to look for the DOI string, if there is one. If there isn't, put none listed. That's the digital object identifier, and it's, again, a string of numbers and sometimes letters. All right, you'll have the same questions that you'll be answering about your second source, and then you'll move on to the reflection. So having read these 2 articles, what do you now know about the topic? So give a few sentences to describe that. Do you see any patterns or themes? For example, do you find that schools are being held responsible for what happens outside of school in terms of cyberbullying? Or are you seeing certain strategies that could be used to combat cyberbullying? So just based on these two, do you see any common themes or patterns? Number 3 is, what are the gaps? So you have 2 articles. Probably that's not enough to really thoroughly research this topic. So what else would you need? What questions remain unanswered? What aspects of this issue have not been talked about in the articles that you found? And then finally, based on all of this, how would you adjust your research going forward? So if you are going to do more research, and you will, what would you be looking for? So a few sentences to explain that. The conclusion, you'll just give the overall implications of the research on this topic. So again, why is this important? What have you found? And the significance of it, like how important is this? What message is there? And again, you're basing it on these 2 articles. So give your best, information based on what you have read. Okay, the last section is references. And there is an APA module that talks more about references, but what I've given you is a model for each of your source types. So for the internet source, this probably is the model you should follow. So you want to look at how the authors are listed, the date, the title, the website, and the URL. If there is no author, probably the website would go in the author position, then the date, then the title, then the URL. And you'll type that information in this space. For your database source, you can use this model. Again, you see your authors, you see the date, you see the title, which is a little different from an internet article. You see the journal, and you see how that is listed. And here you have the volume, the issue, and the page numbers. Now, if you are using Credo, you may not have all this information. This tends to be found in some of our other databases, but do the best you can. If you did find a DOI, this shows you how to list it. So that string goes after you type the https://doi.org/. Then you would put the string so that that is actually a live link. And you would type your information here. Okay, that's it. And hopefully that will help you as you're filling out this assignment.